Good evening, everybody. I'm Bonnie Hunter. Welcome to the basement at Quiltville, where we are busy working on all things scrappy and all things UFO. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. It's been a wild couple of weeks, so I do believe we were able to sneak in Quilt-Cam for one evening between my trip to Italy and my trip to Alaska. I'm just back from Alaska on Monday afternoon. Gosh, I hate those red-eye flights. Just hate them. But sometimes they are a necessary evil, and if you can sleep through them, they are a little bit more tolerable. So we are here tonight, and I'm dealing with a phone cord that is not wanting to be cooperative. Have you ever had a phone cord that just went bad over time? This one, when I plug it in, continues to make the computer bleep like it's going on, off, on, off, on, off. I think it's a defective cord and not a defective USB outlet. But see, there it goes again. So we're going to move this over one and see if it shuts up. If not, we're just going to have to hope that the 40% battery I have left on my phone is enough to last us for the next hour or so. So what's been going on with you in the last couple of weeks? We just finished a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully you've been able to enjoy that time with family and friends, and the weather's been good where you are. I wanted to send my love and concern for those in the Houston area of Texas. They're getting quite flooded right now. In fact, it was less than a year ago, I believe, that I was down in the Houston area, and they said, oh, we're in such drought, we're in such a drought, we need so much rain, we need rain. Well, be careful what you pray for and how you pray for it, because now they're like, hold the horses, we need some time for the water that we've gotten to soak into the ground so that it doesn't just all run off and then we're left in the same dry spot when the summer heat arrives. What else is going on around here? Exciting things. The last time I talked to you, I told you, I finally confessed about what was going on with my publishing schedule as far as the next book. And I let you know that C&T was in the process of acquiring Kansas City Star, and that I would stay under the Kansas City Star label, but we would be published under the umbrella of C&T, which is fabulous because they've got so many different book divisions, where Stash Books is their modern division, Kansas City Star is going to be their more traditional division. And I'm happy to say that I am a traditional quilter. Most of my inspiration comes from traditional quilts, and I don't feel bad admitting that at all. Sometimes I feel in this day of extremely modern and progressive and mid-century modern and whatever it is, if you consider yourself still a traditional quilter, you're kind of left behind the scenes. But when we look back at it, where does everything come from? Where's the foundation? Traditional quilts. And those modern things, they've been done before. They're not as modern as we think they are. They may have a new twist on them, but they're deeply rooted in tradition that we can trace all the way back. That's a whole nother thing. But scrap quilts are my love, and that's what I'm working on tonight. This is the lozenge top. If you were watching on the blog where this feed is embedded, that's quiltville.blogspot.com. You'll see that there are only 4 seams left to go. And you see I can put my hands through here. It's held together by the chaining threads between the rows. This is what we call webbing the top, so it's easy to assemble. I have pinned together 1 seam that I'll be able to sew. Took a gazillion pins, but I pinned together 1 seam. I'll be able to sew that, and then there'll only be 3 seams left to complete this top. This has been our Leader Ender challenge for the past year, and I'm excited to see it turned into a top. I really have built this as leaders and enders. I know some people fell in love with it so quickly they had the top done in a weekend. This has been a leader ender thing for me, and I'm happy to see it come together. If it's your first time joining us for Quilt-Cam, I welcome you. We do this on a hit or miss basis because my schedule is pretty insane. When I'm home of an evening, usually not the first night I get home because we've got jet lag and baggage to unpack and book orders to catch up on and everything. Ooh, flying bug. Sorry about that. But in the week sometime, if we can do it a Thursday or a Friday, maybe sometimes a Wednesday. It's just hit or miss whenever I have home alone time when the family is busy doing other things. So if the hubby has tennis that night, then that's a free night where I feel like I can do some Quilt-Cam, because being gone so much means I need to spend some time with the family. So I can't do this on a regular scheduled basis. And oh yes, that thing about that I was telling you, the good news about CNT, I've got a phone conference scheduled for tomorrow morning to get my timeline going and to get this whole thing scheduled out and how we're going to parcel it out and actually get this thing going. So I'm finally on that train, and I'm really happy. I'm a little bit nervous to be meeting with the new editorial staff and working a little bit differently than I have before. And it's the unknown that kills me a little bit, but I know it's going to be good. It's going to be good all the way. So let's do some sewing here. I am sewing on, can you see here from the side? This is that same aqua machine I was sewing on for the last couple of Quilt-Cams. I haven't had time to even change the machine out. In fact, this is the only times I've been able to sew at this machine is during Quilt-Cam. This machine is early 1960s, maybe late 1950s. I'm not altogether sure, but it's a white. And it does a straight stitch only, which are my favorite machines of all. And we are just going to stitch this long seam. So I have pinned, I don't know if you can see from there, I have pinned where triangle point meets triangle point. But any place that's a straight nested seam, I don't. I just hold those together with my fingers as we go, or it would take twice as many pins. And these units were pressed so that they would automatically nest with each other. And that's half the battle right there. So as I get up close to a pin, I stop and pull the pin. And I really like a magnetic pin dish because I don't want to take the time to have to stick a pin into a pin cushion. Okay, so we're sewing along here. And I'm really ready for this quilt to be done. I'm very happily in the land of, okay, that's close enough to matching. I love how this machine sounds and happy to have this done. I haven't thought about what I'm going to do for the backing yet. I'm hoping I just have something big enough to call it good. Okay, so if you are new, you can leave a comment in YouTube if you're watching where this is embedded live in the live chats. Or if you email me at quiltville@gmail.com, that email will show up in my inbox and I get it off of my phone because the computer's quite a ways away, and I can answer you that way. Or if you're on the blog, just leave a comment on the blog post itself in the comment section, and that also shows up in my email and I can answer you there. I would love to see what you're working on. I would love to know who it's for, what the story behind it is. I would love to know your most recently completed UFO, if you've got one. What colors you're finding just fascinating these days. Anything you want to talk about, I'm open. Give me a shout out in any of those venues. And oh, guess what? I am air sewing. I guess that's no better time to stop and check the email than when we have, let's see if I even have a wound bobbin in here. I may have to wind some bobbins. Oh, looky, we are lucky. I have one bobbin wound. This is a based on the class 15 machine, so it has a really, really nice bobbin and size bobbin. And yes, I know this is blue thread, but this is scrappy and it's going through blacks and colors, so we're using blue because I'm out of gray. Okay, but drop me a line and let me know how you're doing to get this growing the right way, and just pop it in here to the side. So the straight stitcher is a side threader. The needle goes sideways just like on a featherweight, only it feeds from the outside in. Anytime you see a machine with a knob on the back side here, it's going to be a side facing needle. Okay, we'll just get this all ready to go, and then we'll take those calls. I can see that the email vibration is coming to my phone. I just want to anchor these threads, and then we can check that. Okay, and we're good to go. I always clip off my tails right after starting because I don't want to have to go back to clip threads. I like the threads to be gone. Alrighty, so let's check where you are. We've got messages here. Okay, this one. Whoops, hit the wrong thing there. In the inbox here. Brenda Connolly, what I'm working on, she says tonight, if it comes up. I've had very slow internet the last couple days too. And my hair, if it's sweaty, it's because I went for a walk. So about 7:30 tonight, perfect time, but it's North Carolina and our humidity is kind of creeping up here. Oh, she's been working on Lazy Sunday. Great job. She says, my version of Lazy Sunday Mystery has been looking at me for at least 6 months. I'm trying to figure out how I want to quilt it. So far, no inspiration. However, this time when I unfolded it, I realized how much it reminds me of my late mother. She always dressed like a little Easter egg. She stood 4 foot 10 inches tall on a really good day, and it made me smile. The other 2 pictures are pieces from the American Patchwork and Quilting 4-patch along. The top is for the Lisa Alexander version, and the bottom is for my version of the one you're doing. I plan to do mine more like the version in the magazine, except using 1.5-inch squares. Yeah, that's the good size to use. One thing I seem to have a lot of is 1.5-inch squares. Me too. See this little box? Leader Ender box, 1.5-inch squares. They're going in this, my Idaho square dance blocks. Aren't these fun? Love those. Now the next issue is coming out, but those were in the May, June issue. Just wait till you see what's in the July, August issue coming out. So let's show you her photos here. She's got on top here, if I can I do these sideways? Will they show? Maybe. There we go. So here's her Lazy Sunday quilt top, all together, just waiting for quilting. I think it's such a busy quilt, it doesn't need something fancy. The center is done in a barn raising layout. And you could start at the center and work out in diagonal lines. You could cross hatch it. You could do any number of things. I also think it's fine to just meander this or do it with loops or loops and leaves or any of the number of things, because nothing's going to really show there against all that busy, gorgeous patchwork. Look, she's got her border on. All right, the next one there, here's her 4 patches coming together for the APQ quilt along. Mine will be worked on. They're over here too. Remember these? Here's my blocks with the 4 patches on point, and then put on point with 5. Matches my machine over here. Love it. Want to get this lozenge thing done first, and then I'll feel free to go back to those. So these are her 4 patches. And there they are. There's her little units coming together there. So happy to see that she's working on those. So thank you for sharing that with us, Brenda. She's in Morinville, Alberta, Canada, just north of Edmonton. And she says, I really wish you'd come to Edmonton sometime. Would love to meet you. I'd love to come to Edmonton as soon as the border patrols on both sides loosen up on the quilters and concentrate on drugs and guns. Then I will come. But it makes it a tax nightmare, because if you go there to teach or anything, you have all of this paperwork you have to fill out for visas, and you have to do all of the taxation and all of the everything, and getting merchandise across and back across the border. It's just a nightmare. So hopefully if I get close enough to the borders, we'll have people coming down on my side of the border instead of all of the hoops I have to jump through to get to the other side until they loosen up on us just a little bit. It's not that I don't want to, it's just that, oh my goodness, you would not believe what it's like to try to cross that border. And back. Janet, she says, hi from English Quilter. It's the middle of the night here. Ooh, she got up anyway. But I was so chuffed that you posted a picture of my Scrappy Star sampler last month. I decided to stay up tonight. So it's like 2 o'clock in the morning where she is. She said, like you, I have several projects on the go at one time. I am in the deep stash mode right now and sewing along with you with Scrappy Storm at Sea, snail's trail blocks in all of my bright colors and a white background. When it's finished, I will use it to practice my free motion quilting on the handy quilter and then pass it on to be sent to an orphanage in Africa. Oh, how wonderful. A cause my group is supporting, so it will be worth staying up for. Enjoyed seeing pics of your recent travels. Your body clock must be all over the place. It is. In fact, a friend told me today, by now you should be somewhere over where? Oregon or maybe Oklahoma, somewhere in there. So every day your body shifts an hour. So I was 6 hours ahead in Italy, came home for 2 days, which still puts me 4 hours off, then went 4 hours backwards, which had me 6 hours off, but I've been home for 3 days. So yeah, I think I'm somewhere between Idaho and Oklahoma. I did take a nap today. Let's show you her photo. This is just absolutely gorgeous. I love that she's playing with all these bright colors on just a stark white background. If I can get the photo to open up here. Come on, baby. Almost. Almost. Slow internet. She's got it in a row there. If I turn it this way, maybe, nope, it still wants to turn. So no matter what I do. But she's got those gorgeous Storm at Sea with a snail trail block in the center of those Storm at Seas. Beautiful, beautiful. You can go to bed now. It's okay. You can catch the rest in the morning. Glad to have you with us tonight, though. Okay, back on down. We have Lorraine LeBlanc, who says, hi, I'm working on a Kim Deal design from 101 Fabulous Small Quilts, quilting the appliques. It will hang in my dining room. Thanks for the motivation to get out of the chair. And, oh, please don't tell me this is going to take so long all night to open these suckers up here. Oh, come on. It might be the size of the photos that people are sending, because this one is like 5.6 megabyte or something. So if you have the opportunity to, if you're sending from your iPad or your iPhone, please don't send them full size. Choose small size or medium, okay? Because it takes too long to open them up down here. But here she is. She's stitching down the appliques. And it looks like she's busy there. That's gorgeous in the dining room. Love it. Okay. Couple more. Irene says, here's my new finish. This is Barbara Brackman's Civil War sampler. I've moved on to Civil War journals, another UFO. Here's a center medallion for it. So this is the Civil War sampler, and that one opened faster. So she's got her Civil War sampler right there. Barbara Brackman, we know, is another Kansas City Star author. I don't know what she's decided to do with her contract and her publishing, but she's another one that has really inspired me in the realm of traditional quilts. I love all the information she shares on her blogs about the origins of different blocks and fabrics and stuff like that. And this is the center medallion of Irene's. Another UFO, another one biting the dust. Keep plugging away at those. Try to finish one before you start something new. Keep them going. You can always use them as a leader ender project, an in-between project. It can be your, when I go to sit and sew, this is the only thing that goes with me until it's done project. Let's try to make a little bit of progress. Pat Levac says, working on Happily Scrappily Irish using up 2-inch strips and squares. Only 31 more blocks to put together. And she said, I'm glad you're back, but I enjoy watching your travels. I really did have a great time in Alaska. It was just weird going from freezing on the fjords tour on the boat. I had my puffy down jacket. I had to buy a hat because it was windy and cold. And 2 days later, we're up in Fairbanks and it's 100 degrees. Come on, turn sideways. It's not wanting to. It's not wanting to. There it goes. So there's her Happily Scrappily Irish there. Look at all of that variety. The one thing I love about the Happily Scrappily Irish from, whoops, it closed black on me, from Adventures with Leaders and Enders, you make the blocks with 4 patches. Instead of a strip set of 5, that's going to give you several identical strips down that panel. When you make it with scrappy little 4 patches that you've built with Leaders and Enders, the variety is just, it's wonderful. You cannot pick out any 4 patches of identical nature. It does not look like it came out of a pre-pieced panel. It's just wonderful. So thanks for sharing that, Pat. That's gorgeous. One more, and then I want to finish the seam, and we can talk some more while I do my next pinning job. So Sherry Dawn says, Quilt-Cam. Thanks for Quilt-Cam tonight. I'm too pooped to sew. Hey, no whining to me. Who should be too pooped to sew? But not too tired to watch you sew, she says. You've got me started down that slippery slope of vintage sewing machines. Here's a picture of my latest acquisition, a Singer 185. I don't know her backstory, so I am still pondering for a name. Oh, and she's just ever so cute and oh so green. Can you see her there? The 185Js, I think they were like 1955, something like that, 1955. It's a 3/4 size machine. So the 185s basically took the place of the 99s, which were the 3/4 size little black ones. They're straight stitch only, but they're that lovely Kermit green color. Okay, so here's one. My pin must have fallen out. Do I crapshoot it? I think I'm gonna. Missed a pinning place. That's probably the one place where the seams will be off like this. So I saw something, a little conversation going on today. Was it today? Maybe last night, where somebody was posting a picture of their quilt on our Facebook group, Quiltville's Open Studio. Does it need borders or does it not? And it seemed like the conversation was equal, 50, 50, 50, 50. I always put borders on a quilt. A quilt looks better with borders, says somebody. That wasn't my saying. Says somebody. Oh, a quilt always looks better with borders. Not so. Sometimes I think it just needs a really strong binding, and then that strong binding acts as a border and finishes off the design. So my first question is, does the design look complete in itself, or can the design center be finished off with just a nice strong binding, or is the quilt big enough as it is and you're going to add borders and then it's going to get too huge to quilt, and done is better than not done. So really, for me, there are no rules as far as does a quilt have to have borders. I think it's a personal preference. This one that I'm working on, no borders, just a strong binding, and I may just bind it with a black. I'm thinking a solid black or a tone on tone that looks like a solid, because it is just so super busy. At one time I was thinking lime green. I don't know. The more I work on it, the more I'm thinking black. So we'll just have to see. But no, I don't think all quilts require borders. And I love the antique quilts where there were only borders on 3 sides, because either the quilt was up against the wall and it didn't need it on that one long side, or if you put it at the top, it was a waste of fabric because now the quilt's too long for the bit. And you're going to lose that design up on top of the pillows because now there's border there. So no rules. But are you a border girl? Or I should say a border quilter, because we've got guy quilters too that follow along. So what do you think? Do most of your quilts end up with borders, or are you okay on quilts without borders? One of the reasons I like to pull my pins as I get to them, besides the fact I don't want to break a needle while sewing on them, is I'm really afraid, and I've done this before, if I wait till the end and I pull all the pins, I will miss some and they'll be in the center of the quilt forever. So I usually just stop, pull it, lay it on my pin dish. Usually when I'm sewing quilts into rows, I would have done a lot of pressing on this already, but because it's been a Quilt-Cam thing and I'm not getting up in between rows to press, I'll have the entire top to press after I finish sewing these rows. One thing I'm loving already, so we are now at almost 9:30 here on the East Coast. I'm looking out my window. Do you know what I see? Nothing. It's dark. It's exceptionally dark. Let me tell you, Alaska in the summer, if you're not used to that stuff, it can keep you awake all night. So the hotel says, oh yes, we've got really nice blackout curtains. Yeah, right. Blackout curtains are great, but you need duct tape around the entire outside edge to keep the light from just beaming out the sides and the top and the bottom of the curtains. And if the air conditioner is running, the fan is circulating because the room's kind of stuffy, then those curtains are billowing and they're letting in way too much light underneath. Take it from me. Bring a sleeping mask. It's just one of those things you have to be used to. I know that certain people, it doesn't bother them at all. Me, every time I rolled over, I was kind of peeking out of one eye. Oh, it's way too light out there. Getting these down there, matching those seams as best as I can. Pulling pins as I go. I've got just another little bit to go, and then we'll take some more calls. It's so nice when these seams just nest each other the way they're supposed to. Just a few more. Then there'll only be 3 seams left. This is the boring part. Okay. Now that's got a problem. I've got a seam that's coming undone. I'm going to have to pull it out and fix that. So let's check in here. All the way down. We're going to go to Bobby Bridgman, who says, what I'm working on. Ooh, pretty, Bobby. She says, I'm excited to sew with you tonight. I almost never get to sew during the week. Quilt-Cam is a great excuse to get some stitching in. Tonight I'm working on getting a top assembled. Some friends and I pick a pattern every year to start at retreat. This is last year's retreat. I'm excited that it's almost together, and I love these colors. Turquoise and green and aqua and blue. Come on, open up, baby. It's a large photo. So remember, if you're sending me photos, try to do it in a smaller size, because I'm in a basement, and if it's megs and megs and megs, it's going to be hard for me to open it up. So there you go. It's all triangles. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I love putting blues and greens together. I think they really, really look nice. And I love the triangles in this. Not all blocks have to be square. So that's beautiful. Good luck. So you'll have to let us know what this year's retreat project is going to be like. That's super. All the way to the top here, Kitty Riverbark says, I have a niece that is getting married. I don't have a date, thank goodness. This is what I'm working on for her. And this is Kathy from South Carolina. And pictures are getting smaller. Thank you. It's still taking a little bit of a time to open them up for you. You know, some days are better, some days are not. Ooh, double wedding ring. Very nice. Look at that. That's going to be gorgeous. Of course, pink for a wedding and all those bright colors. That's just super. She's going to love it. And if you don't have a date, you can just work on it a little bit at a time before the pressure sets in. Lovely. Home Ec with Mel says, what got finished and what's going on? Sharing the quilt hubby finished recently. Every stitch, including the quilting, was done on a Singer 27 from 1895. Below is my project. I'm making string blocks on my sister-in-law's 301A. I'm testing it for her, but I'm really falling in love with the machine. Her sister-in-law may not get to it. So the hubby's quilt is greens in different shades, sewn on a Singer 27. I'm assuming that's a treadle. I don't think it's been motorized. Wonderful. I love how men put things together because they're just very graphic, very geometric, and they just are able to see things in ways that we don't. We tend to do things foofy and with flowers. Not all of us, but some of us. Second photo opening up. Here we go. So here's the lovely little 301 with the string block projects that she's working on. If I turn that sideways, oh yay! Sometimes they turn, sometimes they don't. But I love that. I love that 301. Wonderful. Okay. So Jen Hinwood says, what am I doing? She says, love that color on you. It's kind of a weird, like watermelon pinky red. Thank you, Sam's Club. love Sam's Club, love Eddie Bauer. She says that t-shirt quilt is getting a back made out of 16 fat quarters tonight. This is number 2 for a customer whose husband is dying of cancer. She brought me his Harley tees and asked for quilts for his brothers. Oh my goodness. No pressure. Yeah, right. But she wants him to see them before he dies. Should be done this weekend, and he's still hanging in there. crosses for the young man from Africa? Yes. I gave it to him and he was gobsmacked. He couldn't understand that I had made it for him, so I invited him into the scrap heap to demonstrate. His eyes got very big and moist. That's why we quilt. Thank you for your patterns and inspiration. See you in August in a wedding veil. Oh, this is going to be so funny. So the retreat that I'm teaching at, come on, picture, open up. Will that one open up sideways? This one won't open up sideways. So here's all the Harley t-shirts that have been made into the t-shirt quilts for his brothers before he passes. That's wonderful. But the wedding veil thing, so these crazy girls, Debbie Caffrey and Charlotte Angotti, have you ever been with them before? So here's, I'm teaching a retreat with them in Vegas in August, and the retreat's full, but you'll have to just watch because I have a feeling we'll do more. But one of for the meet and greet night, since it's Vegas, everybody has to. It's mandatory. You don't get to opt out. Mandatory. You have to show up at the meet and greet in a wedding veil. It doesn't have to be yours. You can go down to the Goodwill and buy one, or you can make one and stick a bird on it or whatever. But that's our meet and greet party. Is we're all going to be in wedding veils, you know, all going to the chapel kind of a thing, and it's going to be hysterically funny. So I'm getting messages from so-and-so who also thinks it's hysterically funny, and it can be a wedding veil, but it doesn't have to be white, right? You could dye it pink, you could put green sunflowers on it, you could do whatever for this veil for this retreat. So we'll get lots of photos, don't worry. I will post that. Jen, this is going to be so fun. I can't wait to see you there. This one from Jay Wilson, who says, good evening from Texas. Thanks for having Quilt-Cam tonight. Watching Quilt-Cam while working on a crochet project since the machines are still in hiding since company was here last weekend. Anybody else have to quickly shove everything in the closet to make the guest room more habitable? Heard you mention the weather a little while ago, and yes, it's raining again in various locations tonight. Was in the Texas Hill Country last weekend with all the rain and flooding. Thanks for your travel pictures. They give me ideas of where I might want to go next. And that's from Joyce and in Texas. And this one, Jackie Tucker for Quilt-Cam, she says, working on box kites. Still, really, still, she says. Enjoy sewing with the folks worldwide. UFO, string quilt sandwich and basted for quilting, but she hasn't started on it yet. So here's her boxy kites. She's got a couple there in nice shades of green. I really love this block. It's asymmetrical block, so it works really well to twist and turn it in different ways, put it with an alternate block. It was one from Quiltmaker magazine, so watch that for the Addicted to Scraps column. And Tammy, she says, it's only because I say Tammy because I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Every time I say this, Tammy, crumb. Okay, I'm working with strips of 4 patches that were left over from 16 patch blocks. I'm making them into large blocks and staggering them in each row. They work up quickly into a 60-inch square top, and it will be just throws. And that's Tammy in Illinois. And she's got, oh, those look really great, Tammy. So she's got 4 patch strips there. So it's 4 squares and strips that's matched with another rectangle, and they're staggered in rows. So it's kind of doing this offset little thing, looking very modern there, girl. I can see that they'll be great. Wonderful. Do one more, and I'm going to fix this seam and finish this segment here. So we've got Linda, who says, dancing 9-patch. I'm working on a dancing 9-patch boy baby quilt while watching Quilt-Cam tonight. Good job. Have 3 great nephews born this year. Needed fast and furious. So I made my blocks a little bit bigger. When my daughter was stationed at the Air Force Base in Fairbanks a few years ago, the blackout curtains were aluminum foil. You know, I thought about that. The next time I stay in a hotel, it's going to be aluminum foil and duct tape because it was so bright. She says, I'm laughing with you as we experienced the same thing while visiting one June. And she's from Naples, Florida. Remember paradise on the beach? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay, so this is coming out of the machine, because if it's just a few stitches that have come undone, I can just hold that in place, but it's more than a 1/4 inch, so if I leave that, it's going to leave a hole. So sometimes you just have to stop the continuous piecing, fix the seam that popped, and move on. Life is like that, so let's do that. just going to re-sew that, and then I'll be back on my way. That's one of those things with chain piecing, is that you can't, I mean, I don't stop. I really don't backstitch anything unless it's on the outside edge of the quilt. I'll sometimes backstitch that or stay stitch the edges, but that one was just a do not pass go. Do not sew over it without sewing it closed first. Okay, that's better. I've only got a little bit left to go. But where was I? Okay, there. So the plan is here tomorrow evening to head up to the cabin. I haven't been for over a month. There's a new roof on the cabin that happened, I think, while I was in Spokane. Alrighty, and I have some leader ender squares to sew together here. I'm going to pull a light one and a dark one, sewing pairs, because I want to make like a wall hanging size of this. Yes, I did say wall hanging, didn't I? That would be like 25 blocks. That's it, which is not very many for me. Okay. Okay. So that row is now sewn. Not so shabby, but the proof is when we fold it over, how far off are we, and did our pins do a good job? Oh, they seem to have done a good job. You know, if I have just a needle's width, because I tend to sew a little bit scant anyway, if there's just a needle's width between these 2 points that are supposed to match, I consider it good enough. All right, so let's fold this back over. So I'll stand up and you can see where we're coming. Here's one more here. So there's one here, and then this was just a half a row to complete it right here. So 3 more rows and I am done. How happy day. So we'll get this ready for pinning. It's true, during Quilt-Cam I don't get as much sewing done as most people, as you guys are sewing away while you listen, but it's still better than nothing. So here's where the pinning job comes. If I can come close, just for those who are new, who've maybe never done this before. I have 2 points that need to meet each other, and it's not really a nested seam. The white triangle and the black triangle will nest, but I still need to pin where point meets point, or they will be off shifted from each other. So for me, it's a 2-pin process. I take the first pin and I find that point of the one layer. It's got to be right at that point, and then run that same pin through the point of the next layer and hold them together, hold them close. Make sure that pin is straight through there. At this point, I can't go down and through because it'll shift everything. So leave that one pin there. It'll hold those layers where they need to be, and then grab a second pin, and then you're going to pin just above it. And the second one, I don't know if I can get it close enough to the camera where you can see. Nope, this is a really odd angle. Okay, so you put the second pin just above but next to the first pin that just skewers those two points together. Remove the first pin, and then that goes down to the next pinning station. So you point to point first, and it takes a little bit of time, but be cautious with it, because you know the reason we're pinning is so that we can sew and have things turn out right. So you don't want to be careless with your pinning, because then why bother? Okay, so point to point is matched. Second pin goes through and back out right above that pin that was holding those points together. Then move this one and move over. I'll pin one more and then we'll answer some more questions here. But I was on a phone call earlier when I was pinning that last section, and I watched the clock just after I was done. And talking on the phone is a good thing, because you can get a lot done monotonous wise. But it took me a good 10 minutes to pin that entire width across this quilt with this method, but it works. So try it. 2 pins. I know some people like those fork pins, but I'd still have to use that first pin to match those point to points first. Okay, so we've got here Marla, who says, Coco is watching you on Quilt-Cam. Just enjoying watching you on Quilt-Cam tonight. This is my sweet kitty Coco, who loves to watch me sew and watch you too, sewing together Grand Illusion blocks. So we'll get this open. Oh, she is watching. That is too funny. So Coco's on the ironing board watching Quilt-Cam. That is so cute. You know, my Emmy Lou, we figured out, she's 14 now. She's 14 because I got her in 2001. And she's the happiest kitty. And when I treadle in the evening, I treadle behind the couch. It's a tall back couch, but there's space for the treadle machine back there so I can face the TV without having the treadle machine all the way in the living room. And she'll be up on the back of the couch, her legs just dangling over, her head just kind of dangling over. And you have never heard a kitty purr so loud. She is just so happy when we are home. I just love it. Definitely a cat girl. I love the dogs too, but there's things that cats do that just, and I have to take a nap with the cat, have to sleep with the cat purring next to me. The dogs don't purr. Now, if you give the dog a purr, it might do the job. Okay, Quilt-Cam from, is it Rhea or Ray? You were asking about border thoughts. You are right. There are no rules. Most often you would use borders, but as you said, it depends on the designs. The comfort quilts we make for our church just doesn't work with borders because of the designs. So the binding gives the border touch. I am working on the backing for my Celtic Solstice that I finished last year. Gosh, I just love that quilt. Well, thank you so much. I'm excited. For those who didn't finish Celtic Solstice, I'm ready to edit all of the 6 steps that it took to put Celtic Solstice together, edit them down, rewrite it, and do it as a digital download on the website. So that should be coming hopefully in the month of June. I know you've been waiting a long time. I decided not to wait all the way till fall of 2016 to have it in the next book. So that should be coming in the next couple of months. And she says, this year is my UFO year, getting it all done. Thanks for all you do and welcome home. And she's from CNY, which means Central New York, maybe? I'm guessing. I don't know. CNY, wherever they are, they're watching Quilt-Cam. Thanks for that. This one is from Eileen. Hi, Eileen. I've known Eileen for oodles and oodles of years. She says, tonight I am making 4 patches for NAG. Blues from More Leaders and Enders. Oh, Narragansett. Narragansett blues. She couldn't pronounce that. That's okay. Unless you've been there, I didn't know how to pronounce it or spell it either. In fact, when we had it going to publication, in writing the book that was in More Adventures with Leaders and Enders, I had to keep correcting what the editor put because there's a lot of R's and there's many S's and there's a couple of T's and it's Narragansett. She says, during last Quilt-Cam, I was pinning my batik walk in the park quilt. I got it quilted, bound, and given to my sister for her birthday with a few minutes to spare. And that's Eileen from Montana. So glad to have you with us, Eileen. Brenda Trost says, Grand Illusion in Barbados. Wow. She said, thought you might like to see where Grand Illusion has traveled. But doesn't it look great on that picture? Holy cow. Just a second, I'll show you. Sort of like the Travelocity gnome. Grand Illusion was the first mystery quilt I have done, and when I saw the colors come together, I knew that it would be perfect to take with me as a house gift for our friends in Barbados. They do need an extra layer on those cool to them winter nights. In the pictures, our friends are holding it up in the Caribbean breeze with the Atlantic Ocean in the background. It is right at home with those colors. The inspiration for your choices could easily have been the sea, the lush plants, and the pink and yellow flowers that we saw all around the island. And that's from Brenda in Calgary. So let me pop this photo up for you because you're going to want to see it. Their house is yellow and aqua green. Can you see it? If I turn it sideways, will it be good? Oh, it's good. Sometimes it turns, sometimes it doesn't. But look at the color of the house. And look at the color of the quilt. Isn't it awesome? We don't have to quilt to match the couch. We can match the paint job on the outside of the house. I love it. I love those colors. That's wonderful. So let's see the other photo that you sent. Come on, go back. This one, oh, this one shows the sea. Oh, how beautiful. These photos are definite keepers. So this is where they were in Barbados. If I turn it, there we go. We can see it. Isn't that wonderful? I've never been to Barbados. I'll have to put it on my list. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So Bonnie Riley says, Quilt-Cam, glad to chat with you again after your many travels. I enjoyed them so much. I'm working on a charity quilt from my local guild, square in a box. Very scrappy. Also finishing a waist knot quilt. Just have to quilt the borders. Not sure what to do there. Suggestions. So if you have suggestions, I'll show you the quilt. Let's first show you her square in a box. So she's got that up on Quilt-Cam going there, and it looks like just little squares in a square unit with a frame around it. So that's nice because you can square them up to what size they need to be, and because there's enough sashing around each block, if there's a little bit of leeway, it's still going to work. And her other photo, maybe we can, oh, I like that. Let's see, will that turn? Oh, it turns a little bit. I can biggie size it too a little bit. So she's not sure what to do with these borders, and she's quilting in there. You know, I am always one of those who likes organic kind of quilting designs, meaning it doesn't have to be exactly straight lines. It doesn't have to be perfect circles. If it's wandering vines and leaves, or little loops that loop-de-loop in a couple of places and take off another direction, if it's kind of random, I am completely happy with it. If it has to be perfect and it has to turn the corner just perfect, I'm a little bit more to shy away because, hey, life is not perfect. It throws us curveballs all the time. So I'm thinking, I'm not sure what you're quilting on the inside. It doesn't really show, but I would do something just kind of random in the border, but it's beautiful. What a great way to use strips and squares. Thank you for that. So I'm going to take a break from the email here. Let's get some more pins in here. I'd like to sew more than just 2 seams in our entire hour, but it takes a while to pin. So here's my lovely little pins. What else can I tell you about? Oh, the train. The train out of Anchorage that went all the way to Fairbanks was the best day ever. And I wrote about it this morning on the blog. So if you haven't read that post yet, go back to it, because I included an entire slideshow of all the magnificent photos from that train trip in Alaska. This pin has a burr on it and it's not liking to go. I'm going to pinch you. So the worst part, being at the railway station at 7:45 in the morning. That was not fun. But it is a 12-hour train ride from Anchorage to Fairbanks. We rode on what's called the Wilderness Express. So the cruise lines have their own rail cars, but they're contracted with the Alaska Railroad to be pulled behind the Alaska Railroad. So as we pulled on and we were getting checked in, up come the cruise buses and off come all of the cruisers they did their cruise portion and now they're doing their land portion of their Alaska trip. And the buses let the people off, but kept the luggage on the bus, so the people didn't have to deal with their luggage. I thought this was awesome. I'd always wondered how they do that. Do you have to lump your luggage? No, it stays with the bus, and the bus will meet you at the other end when you get to Denali. So we load up on this train car, and it's domed. It's glass at the top. And we choose our seats, and we're sitting kind of bulkhead. So in front of us, we have our own barista for coffee or soda or milkshakes or whatever you want to make us our beverages. And we've got these complete dome glass to view Alaska as we go. Well, the cruisers must have been hitting the mimosas pretty early that day because they were quite lively all the way. And we pull out of Anchorage, and before we've even gone 5 or 10 minutes, they're spotting deer and moose and bear outside the window. So somebody would yell "bear," and we'd all look and try to see it, or some moose, and then somebody would say, traffic jam, because we hit a railroad crossing. You know how the arms come down and all the cars are lined up. Well, they call those traffic jams there, because that's about the only thing that stops traffic in Alaska is the train. So we pull into Wasilla or Wasilla or wherever the accent goes on that word. And there is my friend Joy, who came and took 2 days worth of classes in Soldotna with me. She had found out what time our train was going to be going through Wasilla. And she was there on the platform at this little old ancient little train station with her quilts and her Welcome Bonnie Hunter sign. And I just laughed and laughed. It was so sweet. And I so appreciate her getting up early to do that. So we caught photos of that and a little video of that. It's like all 15 seconds of, oh, there she is. Oh, she didn't see us. And off we go. But it was very sweet and very, very well received. So the entire train was waving back at Joy. It was really fun. So breakfast on the train. You can have breakfast on the train. And I'm talking gourmet breakfast here. The dining car is below and the regular viewing car is above. So you can go down and have your breakfast, and then a couple hours later, you have your lunch. And then we hit Denali about 6 hours from the time we left off? So it was close to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're pulling into Denali, and the entire train detrains. Off they go. All the cruise people have left to continue their tour. They're staying a few days in Denali Park and doing excursions and stuff there. And we were the only 2 passengers going all the way to Fairbanks. So we had this entire train car to ourselves. It was like, well, shoot, I don't have to sit next to you anymore. I'm going to go sit in this bench by myself. Move over. You're snoring. It's like, it was so great. So come dinner time, up comes the chef in his little chef uniform up to the top viewing car where we are, and he talks to us, Mr. and Mrs. Hunter, I'm your chef for the night. We have these offerings for you. Would you like to, which entree would you like? What time would you like dinner? We've got a lot of leeway here. What time would you like dinner? So we settled on, 6:30, which gives them a couple hours from dinner time until the time we disembark in Fairbanks. And we had like a personal staff of 6 people just for the 2 of us. It was hysterical. I think one of the best moments of all was when you do have a guide on the train. So as you're driving past different landmarks or whatever, just like on a bus tour, the guide will tell you, now watch for this. This is what's going on here, or you might be interested in this story, and so forth. He said, would you like to go step out onto the back platform at the very back of the train and have an unobstructed view with just, with no windows? Just, you will be outside, but on the back of the train. We stayed out there for about an hour. It was just awesome. And some of the best photos. I really, really enjoyed being on the train. So the next train trip I want to do one of those sleepover trains. So I'm trying to, niggle and naggle for, can we do the Trans-Canadian Railroad? And I want to sleep on the train. And who knows, maybe quilters out there will put up signs and hang their quilts at the train station and welcome us by too as we pass. So it was just the most relaxing 12 hours that I remember ever having. And yes, I did sew some hexies, not a lot. I did some, but some people, when I said I'm going to sew some hexies, were like, you should just put the hexies down and enjoy the view out the window. Well, let me tell you, you can only see so many trees before they all start to look alike. So it's okay to do a few stitches and look up, and a few stitches and look up. And when you see something really great coming up, you put the stitching down and you look out the window. But to just stare out the window for 12 hours wasn't going to happen. Wasn't going to happen. But it was the best of both worlds that way. Am I there yet? Not quite. Not quite. Just have some more pinning to do. So when we finally reached Fairbanks, and the scenery, once you leave Denali, I think the best scenery is between Anchorage and Denali, not between Denali and Fairbanks. The landscape completely changes. There is some really, really pretty places, but it's not as mountainous, and so you're not seeing the snow-capped mountains as much. And the best part of all, we had been freezing just the day before. Remember, we did that tour in the fjords. We get to Fairbanks, and it's like 78 degrees, and it's 8:30 at night, and it's brighter than noonday sun. And as soon as you gather your luggage and you go out and wait for the cab to take you to your hotel, out of your mouth is, "Where's the bug spray?" Because they are giant and swarming. So if you go all the way to Alaska, it doesn't matter what time of year, really, don't forget the bug spray, because they don't freeze in the winter. They just kind of hibernate. Then they're out as soon as there's a thaw. So yes, bug spray was most needed. Just a few more, just a few more. Can I just pin just a few more? We're getting there. But then it'll leave me only 2 seams left after this one. I really, really want this top done. So I'm trying to think about how I want to quilt this one. And I'm not quite so sure. I've got some favorite edge-to-edge designs. I don't think it's something that needs custom. I haven't done custom for a while, but sometimes I get a little bit antsy to release those cables and just quilt freehand. But the number one question I ask myself is, do I have time? Number 2 question, will it show? Will it add to the overall appearance of the quilt if I spend extra hours custom quilting this? And if the answer is no, then I'll just find something that really adds good texture and a nice quilted look to this. 2 more pins and I'm done, guys. 2 more. Thank you for putting up with me. 1 more. It goes pretty fast. So what do you think? 10 minutes across, maybe 10, something. Okay, 1 more. And there we go. Okay, so that's ready to sew next. Boy, we may be doing this quilt for 3 more quilt cams at this rate. All the way to the top here. Sue McElvaney says, "Wild and goosey," and she showed a picture. What a whirlwind of travel you've been doing. How fun, exciting, and exhausting. Yes. Speaking of borders, I have finished the top of my wild and goosey. I love it. Thank you. But what about borders? What does everyone think of 2x3 goose blocks chasing around the whole quilt? I know it's lots more work, but I've already put so much time in it. Why not do it right? Well, I can tell you a little hint on mine. When you see it, I didn't do borders on mine, but I have a slightly different layout than yours, which has been kept mostly secret. No matter which way I turn this, it's not going to allow me to. Nope, it's not going to allow me. Okay, so her quilt's sideways, but as soon as I try to turn it this way, it goes back sideways. So see what I mean? Some pictures are happy, some are not. Let me at least biggie size it this way so that you can see her blocks there. Looks good, just the way that it is. It kind of has a self-sashing to it. So if you wanted to do straight marching flying geese that go around in a border, as long as you can get the math to work, absolutely. If it's a rectangular quilt, you may end up with some funny math and have to do something weirder in the corners to make that turn. So just be sure that your length and your width are compatible math-wise, that you can get those geese to go around the corner. I think you would be fine either way, either with or without, because I'm inspired by, what goes on in antique quilts. And the question would be, is it big enough to fit the purpose that the quilt has been built for? So is it big enough to cover a person? Is it big enough to fit the bed? Does it need borders? If you feel like it needs borders to complete the design, then by all means do it. And there is no right or wrong answer. It's whatever you want for the quilt. But it's gorgeous, and I love that aqua. Just love that aqua. Love it. Okay. So Elaine says, for Quilt-Cam, I decided to just watch tonight. Today was a long day at work since I just got back from vacation. Looking forward to seeing you in Jamestown, New York, coming up in a week and a half or so. Happy quilting until then. And that's Elaine from Madison Heights, Michigan. So she's traveling all the way to Chautauqua to come see me. I'm excited about that. And this one is Kathy Jarrett says, my new singer 404. You got a 404. You did. Good girl. I cannot believe my good luck when I found this on Craigslist less than 2 months after watching Quilt-Cam at the end of February. You talked about your great 404, so I immediately started searching. The cute cabinet came with the incredible deal too. The machine just needed a little cleaning, oil, and gears lubricated. I think it had been well used and maintained with care. The lady said it belonged to her mom, who passed away this past January. The sharing of this little bit of personal history makes the machine even more special to me. I have been sewing little square and a square 4-patch blocks on her, and this is from Kathy. We're opening that photo here. Looks like that Ott light, or not the Ott light, the IKEA light is coming into good. Oh, that is a sweet cabinet. It's definitely a 1950s style in the blonde cabinet, but that IKEA light will put the light right where you need it as well. So that 404 machine, if you find one at a decent price, I think they're the next up and coming thing. You know what? Everybody loved the featherweights, and the featherweights went really high. So the 301s became popular because they were less expensive. Now they're very sought after because of the bigger throat space and because the fact that there's no belt, and they're gear driven, and they will do 1,200 stitches a minute. Well, the next one up in that series after the 301, 404. It just doesn't have the drop down table, but it has a front loading bobbin instead of the side loading small bobbin. It's got a larger class 66 bobbin, and you get to thread the needle straight on instead of sideways, which can be beneficial. So it's the same gear driven as the 301, same speed as the 301, just a little bit different in the layout and how it runs. So watch for those 404s. I think they're going to go for quilters here soon. And one more. Love that, Kathy. Home ec with Mel regarding her green quilt. Yes, it was a treadle. He has 8 now. It's a preferred way to quilt. So we those treadles, they've just really also come back in popularity, and I love that. I have my little treadle in the dining room area so that when we're watching TV upstairs, sometimes I feel like I spend so much time down here that I actually need to be up with the family. So I've been making more of an effort to be up there. And that little treadle machine barely makes any sound. It's just a little ticka, 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 and it doesn't bother anybody. So I love treadling in the evening with the TV on or doing handwork. All right, so we're sewing this next row. And I'd like to get this one done. Leader Ender square trimmed off. Sew to the pin and pull the pin. It's a pretty monotonous game, but it works well. So those nested seams that are not pinned at all, once I pass a pin, I will make sure to nest that seam and hold it tight so it stays nested. Even though it's not pinned, I'm still controlling the fact that those seams need to be together. So here I'm pulling the pin on that point, and I'm making sure this nests. This next one nests, and then I hold my finger on it so that I'm sure that it stays nested while I sew over it. And then just go on to the next pin. And it goes fairly quickly. If all the seams are pressed in a way that they will nest. Excuse me. Any easing that has to happen goes in between the nested seam and the place where pieces are pinned. So if there's any distance at all, or any variation in my patch size, because we all know that shift happens. Sometimes there's a little easing to be done. That nested seam has to stay nested and the pinned point has to stay pinned. So whatever easing happens has to happen in between those two places. Keep pulling the pins as we go. Yeah, so here's a little place that has to be. And if I can hold those seams tight enough, there's a little bit of wiggle room that you can do some easing, and it won't be noticeable from the top. Sometimes if it looks like there's too much to ease, I'll look at the seam. And if a seam was a little bit shallow or a little bit too wide, I can fix the seam, and that'll solve the problem. But I don't think that there's a quilter out there who hasn't had to fudge during the assembly process, because fabric is like pizza dough. It just keeps going. It's not like working with ceramic tile. Pin to pin and nested seam to nested seam. We're getting down there. Alrighty. So nest that seam, and if there's any easing to be done, it happens between those pin points. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited. After this seam, there's only 2 left to sew. All right, let's check on Ann again. Take a break here. Get a drink while you're at it. So my new favorite, well, I spent time in Italy, and I've done this anytime I've gone to Europe. They will offer you, when you go to dinner, you either get the still water, which is just flat tap water, or the sparkling water. And every time I come back addicted to just plain old sparkling water. So I found this at, I think this was at Costco. It's Deer Park, but it came in a big pack of like 48 bottles in one thing, with different flavors of sparkling water, and all it is 100% natural ingredients. It's spring water with carbonation and lemon, natural lemon flavor. That's it. No sugar, no fake sugar, no nothing. And I'm really trying to get off of the sugar and the fake sugar this year. So it's just spring water. That's all. That's all. A little bit of sparkle added. So I'm not one of those who likes to drink just plain water. If I can drink plain water, but I won't drink enough of it if it doesn't taste like something. So 3 simple ingredients: spring water, fruit flavor, and invigorating bubbles. So that's all that's in there. And it's, boy, is it good chilled, or with a wedge of lime or a slice of orange in it. Really nice. Nested seam. I snuck that in because I was going to answer an email, but I really wanted to sew 6 more inches. Okay, let's go back to the email. This says, Bonnie Riley says, waist knot quilt. Regarding my subject quilt, I quilted a knot pattern in each of the 4 block squares. The knots were not very noticeable, so I was hoping the quilting would bring that out. Well, I'm looking at it on my phone, so it's very difficult for me to see. I'm sure when I look at it on the regular screen size, I'll see what you were quilting. But for the borders, you know, I think just loops and knots would work just well. So anything would be great there. This one's from Kathy Crowfoot, who says, Quilt-Cam discussion, what am I working on, borders or not? She says, I just finished the top for Mom's quilt. I've been working through the family, oldest to the youngest. Mom's quilt has been in the planning stages for a long time. Last month, she got a pretty scary diagnosis, and the follow-up appointment was inconclusive and needs more testing. We're waiting on the final diagnosis. So to help me stay sane and centered, oh boy, have we all been there, I pulled out the fabric I planned for her quilt. I put the final border on yesterday. I'm calling it Mama's Garden. Mom says her favorite color is bright colors. The original plan was to use the kitty fabric as the center part, but it was way too dark for my taste because I was looking for it to be brighter than it looked. I put the blocks I made on the back with the tulip fabric because it reminds me of her kitty who likes to explore in the garden while she's working outside. I'll be giving it to her in July when I go out to visit. So she says, borders or not, it depends on the quilt. I've made several quilts that didn't need a border, so didn't put any on. Some need a border so that it's framed. It's a toss-up, and I surely agree. So let's put up a picture here of that quilt. Oh, I love it. So this is the bright colors quilt that she's working on for her mom. Now, will this one turn if I turn it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. That's beautiful. I think that will be very cheery no matter what the diagnosis is, and I hope it's going to be a good outcome for you. We'll keep her in our thoughts and in our prayers. That is just wonderful. I love to see that. Borders or not, and I think that's one that would have been fine without it, but if you've got the great fabric that's perfect for the border, you got to use it somewhere. So maybe you could go either way. This one's from Celine, who says, hi from Prescott Valley, Arizona. She says, I used to live in Alaska, loved it, except for the winters. This is what I'm working on. The alternate is turquoise instead of the orange. Just finished my cheddar bow ties, and it is at the long armor. Don't do much paper piecing, but this is fun. Thanks for sharing all the photos. And this is from Celine DePhillips. See if I can get her photo. Ooh, that is really cool. So this is paper piecing. So it looks kind of like an optical illusion there. See how it almost looks curved? Very fun, weird angles. That's one thing I love about paper piecing. The angles can be just really weird. Things that you would never, ever, ever cut with a rotary ruler. Would never work. Will work with paper piecing. And I love how optical that is. So that's going to be gorgeous. Can't wait to see how that turns out. And Sharon Perry says, Quilt-Cam and roll it in shades for Alaska from Sharon in Vermont. Alaska hotels should invest in roll it in shades. They have them many places in Europe, especially Germany. They block out all the light, and I mean all the light. Well, the hard part here is the dang built-in heater air conditioner unit that's right under the window, because if any air is blowing at all, it billows, and woo, all that light is coming right out of here, and it's there, bam, in your face. So we'll have to have Europe talk to Alaska, or next time I'll just bring tinfoil and duct tape. Okay, back. So we've got Susan Eddy, who says tonight's work. And she's got a photo, very simple, just tonight's work. The image, picture's worth 1,000 words. And she's doing Dresden plates. I love it. So she's got us here on Quilt-Cam, and there's her lovely, gorgeous floral Dresden plate in the front. I made one Dresden plate quilt in my lifetime, and that was before I was really any competent at applique. So I think I had a tendency of pulling the thread too tight, and it kind of, well, made its own volcano or a donut or whatever you want to call it. But I would like to do another one. I think Dresden plates are just wonderful. And they leave lots of room for other fun stuff, whether it be applique or fun quilting. Okay. Come on. Keep going. Keep going. We've only got 4 more units to stitch over. This quilt is so big, I should not be sewing up against a wall. I'm usually stitch over in the corner where I have more big space for big quilts. This is great for block piecing, but not so much for putting large tops together. Okay, just a couple more. Almost done. So next Quilt-Cam, I'm thinking I'm going to be at the cabin at least through Sunday. If I don't even stay, I may stay till Monday or Tuesday if I have enough time. I've got a week before I fly off. But I'm thinking maybe next Wednesday I will let you know. I'll leave a message on the blog and on Facebook and in Instagram if we're going to be able to do it. It's been a long time since we've been able to do Quilt-Cam on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon when it's good for European time. because I've just not had any weekends at home. At least we've got them in the archive. So if there's any quilt cams that you've missed, come click the Quilt-Cam tab at the top of the blog. I think it's best to watch them from the blog because the post that the feed is embedded in will give you information, background information on what I'm working on, as well as information from one of our readers who has sent something in or something else that's going on, be it a giveaway or something like that. So all of those archives are there, and hooray, we've just finished another one. So there's only 2 more seams left to do. Just these 2. This one and this one. We'll finish these 2 seams and we'll be able to get this top together. And let's check those. We've only had 1 out of bobbin experience. That was good. And these seams seem to be matching pretty dang well. Pretty well, good enough, don't you think? Okay. So let's check in a couple more, and I think we're going to call this a night. It's about 20 after 7 here. I mean, 20 after 10 here. Can you tell I'm still time zone challenged? All the way down to Laura Valdez, who says, Hexies! Batik Hexies coming along, going to join with a black batik. Ooh, and that is just going to make those colors pop. How nice. So it looks like she's got her Batik Hexies setting out on top of another gorgeous quilt. We all know that Laura is just busy, busy, busy quilting all the time. She does a great job. Love to see those, Laura. How big are those hexagons? Are those 1 inch or are they 3/4? I'm thinking when I finish this hexie project that I'm working on, I'm on the last fill-in section, and then I just have the background that goes around the star to fill it in. When that's done, I'm going to need another on-the-road project, so I'm thinking 60-degree diamonds next time. We'll have to see how that goes. I'm looking for inspiration. Irene says, welcome home. She says, Dave and I spent the day in the local antique stores, and I had to share. The first thing is this great quilt, circa 1930s, hand-pieced and hand-quilted. Would have brought this baby home, but for the $1,500 price tag. Ouch. I did bring home this sweet baby, though. 1940s Singer, a hand crank and in fabulous condition. Bought it for 75 bucks because it didn't work. Brought it home, threaded the machine and shuttle properly, adjusted tensions, and bam, it sells like a champ and as smooth as silk. Looking forward to seeing you in Iowa. So first up, let's show that star quilt. Oh my goodness, that is gorgeous. What was I just saying about 60-degree diamonds? Woo, woo, woo. We may have to make this one, Irene. It's got to open up here. Come on, baby. She's got big pictures. Holy moly. Holy moly, mother of diamond in a hexie. Look at that, $1,500. Can I get that any clearer? Can you see that? I'm going to save this photo. I think this one deserves to be posted. So it looks like the 60-degree diamonds are sewn into hexies, and the hexies are joined to make this big radiating hexie pattern from the center on out. You know, did this woman spend more than 1,500 hours on this thing? I would say so. But at the same time, do we want to spend that? No. I absolutely love this because it looks like even though she had a plan, there were some fabrics that she ran out of and she had to replace with other colors. So there's this one red stripe in this upper corner right here that is not repeated in the other corner. And from what I can tell, not down there, whoops, or up there either. So that's definitely 1930s, gorgeous. 1940s maybe. Here's a close-up of the fabrics. Oh my gosh. Dear Irene, I think we have to make this one. Come on, baby, open up. Come on, baby, be faster. There it is. So here's a section of the quilt so that you can see how those were made. It looks like 4 60-degree diamonds were sewn, 2 dark, 2 light, into a 4-patch. And then those were joined into a 6-pointed star. And then those were filled in with more 60-degree diamonds of a different size. Holy moly. That is wonderful. I love that. Oh, and here's your cute little machine. Let's open that up. Sweet. So is it a what? Is it a 27? I think it is. Looks like Sphinx decals. Maybe not. Nope, not Sphinx. Come on, baby. Open up. Internet, very slow tonight. I apologize. Sometimes these things are like lightning fast. This is just not. Which, you know what, reminds me, maybe my phone's not on Wi-Fi since I got home. It may just be on 4G, and that's why. How sweet. I would have picked that up in a heartbeat. Good for you. Good for you. It's wonderful. I love, hand quakes are great. And boy, is that one in really nice shape. Awesome. And I love it when you go, when an ad says the machine won't work, and it's because they've put the needle in straight instead of sideways, or they've put the bobbin in wrong. We can fix that. We can just say, oh, well, honey, maybe it's good for parts. And off we go. I love it. Wonderful. I'm excited for you. I'm excited. Maybe I'll get to come play with it someday. That's terrific. So everybody, guess what? We are now at about an hour and a half into Quilt-Cam, maybe shy a few minutes, but I think I'm at a good stopping spot because after this, it's more pinning. And I think that I'm ready for hot tub time because it's exceptionally dark outside, which is good for hot tub time. Next week, let's try for Wednesday. If Wednesday won't work, I'll check my calendar and I'll give you an update on the blog of when we can do it. June has for me in store Chautauqua, New York, Erie, Pennsylvania, Sacramento, California, and the Vermont Quilt Festival. So it's going to be another cross-country, up and down and sideways kind of a month, but I will do Quilt-Cam as often as I can. I love working with you. I love that it gives me time to work on my own projects, not just something that has a deadline for a magazine or a book or whatever, but these are my projects for my life, for my home, and I'm glad that I get to share them with you. Be watching on Facebook for updates. If you're on Instagram, you can find me at Quiltville_Bonnie. If you're on Facebook and you haven't joined us yet, you can do a search for Quiltville in the search bar and you'll find two groups that come up. One is Quiltville Friends, and that's my main group where I post. Quiltville's Open Studio is a busy interactive group where everybody posts. So you can find things that are going on there all of the time. I love seeing what you're working on. I love getting to know you. I love sharing with other quilters around the globe. So Open Studio is called Open Studio because it does go 24/7 because we are quilters globally. So when we're going to bed, a whole new crew is getting up and participating. So if you find yourself unable to sleep, it's a great place to go hang out and see what everybody's making. Until next time, I will see you online, and keep sewing. If it's still early where you are, don't let the fact that I'm going offline stop you from getting in a few more stitches. If it's early where you are, keep going. If you're comfortable and enjoying what you're doing, don't stop. Get a few more minutes out of this day, and I'll see you next time around the web. Bye, everybody.